dedication of the staff to making sure that nothing got lost years. At a time when 40 to 50% of the population is subject to experiencing some type of anxiety or depression, we expect in mental health that we're going to see increases for years to come. Now, all of that only happens if it is that you have workforce. And in behavioral health, you might be aware, but there is a national and state workforce crisis for behavioral health, particularly for psychiatry and therapist services. But as you know, we can also hire people that go out into the communities, into the homes, into the schools to provide services. 2.5 years ago, we had total staff here in Pulaski County. It was really hard. We were having a hard time recruiting. Today, we have 20 staff that are working in Pulaski County. And Nicole's going to tell you a little bit about those services. In this last year, we have also opened an office on the Pulaski Memorial campus. So right across from the hospital, where there is also an office for pain management, we have our office now. And we really like this idea of having a health campus. And so do plan to stay connected with the hospital. We were able to increase our wages to a minimum of $15 an hour this last year. We're really proud of for our workforce. We have added peer recovery services to Pulaski, and I believe we're a little over 500 contacts in the last 12 months. We continue to have a strong relationship with Pulaski Memorial Hospital. We provide the therapy and the medication management services for their senior care program. That continues to this day. And we have added ER navigation. We have somebody who their ER can contact if they need some assistance. They believe somebody who came into the ER is having a behavioral health crisis. We continue to have staff embedded in Eastern Pulaski, Winnemac Community Schools, West Central Schools, and Culver Schools. We have some kiddos from Pulaski County who go to the Culver Schools. And then finally, I'm going to hand this over to Nicole, but I cannot emphasize the sheer dedication here in Pulaski County, particularly our community-based and our school-based services. So Nicole, I'm going to let you speak a little bit about some of the other details.
So don't worry, I don't have much. Yeah, we continue to have, as Dr. Cadwell said, robust school-based programming. And in bringing therapists into the schools to reduce that transportation barrier for students and for family has been a huge success for us. To be able to provide that therapy within the school, along with our 15 skills trainers that we have that go into school, go into the home. And so, again, kudos to Alyssa Blackburn. She has grew this during a pandemic, along with many of our other services. So, she does all the hard work. We get to come here and talk about it, but she's done a fantastic job. We're expanding our substance use groups and substance use treatment to include MRT, which is moral recognition therapy. We're hoping to bring some of that to the jail as well. It addresses criminal thinking to reduce that recidivism back into your jail. Some domestic violence classes. We were working with Indiana University and local JDI on an ADAPT program, which addresses adolescent education and treatment for drug and alcohol use here in the community. We continue to offer medication-assisted treatment for opioid use, as well as alcohol use as an added tool to our programs. We're bringing some resource groups to this area as well. We have a criminal justice liaison, Liz Price, who will be bringing every other month a resource group for community agencies, anybody to attend to share, just as a sharing of resources. For a small county, there are a lot more resources here might have an understanding of. And so it's a nice sharing of resources and new resources, as well as a craft group, which will be a resource group for families or individuals suffering with substance use issues, whether they're ready to attend treatment or not. It's a group where you can get education and some resources and to support the family. Almost there, guys. We're providing wrap groups in our jail, which is a group run by one of our peers to help folks who are incarcerated, begin to understand some treatment, begin some first aid treatment, and then we have a peer who can help connect them to treatment once they're released. We're really trying to bridge that time between release from jail, entering the street and getting into treatment. So we're trying to bridge that as quickly as possible. We continue to be actively involved with Judge Coker and Judge Welker with the vet court and family treatment court programs. And then just a couple of mobile crisis statistics I would like to give you. Since August of last year, so about 8 months ago, we've had 98 calls that we here in Pulaski County. Almost 70% of those were able to stabilize within the community, meaning that they didn't result in an acute care hospitalization, which prior to mobile crisis, it may have occurred. So we were able to stabilize within the home. As Dr. Cadwell said, you know, we have a peer as somebody who's kind of referred to as been there, done that, been through recovery, oftentimes been incarcerated, and has now been in recovery for a couple of years. And can walk alongside somebody to help them process, engage in treatment, again, reduce that recidivism. We've had over 500 contacts for that. And then, you know, lastly, I'll just say, you know, we have just such an incredible number of individual clinicians who work in this, live in this community and provide services in this community. And so I wanted to share 2 outcomes with you from our clients. One of those was that 90% of our clients report that after treatment they have a better daily life functioning, and 90% report improved function at work or school. And so, you know, that's directly from our clients, and so we're thrilled to see some positive outcomes from the work all the individuals are doing here.
We appreciate the service that the county's supplying. I guess wasn't aware of how many local people are actually involved. So great. Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Things that are on the schedule, and one thing I hope you'll let me at least ask you. I don't want to have the answer today, but well, I've got to ask the mother-in-law. So, you know, I got 2 things. One is the court security job description. I sent those to you in an email. And I have to apologize. I really thought we had already done all this, but I guess we haven't. So, you know, last year for the security spots in the new jail or in the new Justice Center entrance. So we've moved forward to hire those, and this is the job description for those folks. So I don't know if you have anything that bothers you or you want to add. I mean, we can change that just as quickly as we made it. So, you know, if you have anything, let me know. The other thing, but the proposals there, and I'm just here to get your approval for it. So that's the 2 things I had on the agenda.
Our email said there may be some number changes as far as what the feds pay or something.
We've sent they're running it up their chain of command. So, you know, I don't know how long that'll take. To be questions I've had with Monday is that'll probably be $5 at the most if they do increase that. They had already increased the mileage that we get paid as far as when we're transporting federal folks. But you know, it would be, you know, $4 to $5 at the most. So we're just waiting on the answer from them on that.
So do you anticipate full capacity by these federal?
I don't, Chuck. It could be. You know, that's the potential. You know, I know that Allen County is reducing their federal inmates. They're under a federal law, you know, lawsuit on their have to lower their numbers in that jail. Most of our people come from Allen County as far as the feds. They're either from Elkhart or Allen County usually. I don't see it right off the bat as a full thing, because I don't even see the work release center going full. You know, as soon as we open it, I don't think there's going to be 30 people in there. You know, I don't know, that'll kind of come from the judges as far. We just kind of put in the proposal, the potential for it. I don't have any problem with, you know, we're asking for 4 employees in there, that if they don't, you know, if we're only operating at 10, then we don't need the full 4 people. So we would adjust to that as far as, you know, the issues there with having 4 people and only having 2 people in the work release center. So that would help with, you know, the jail's understaffed by 8 people. And that would help with that, but I understand, you know, that we want this, we're saying this will fund itself, and that's what we want to try to do. If it's, you know, if we only got 10 people, then we'll only have, you know, the amount that it'll fund, so, as employees.
Now, if a federal prisoner files a complaint, you know, I'm not wanting to overwork the judges. You know, we have a few people that keep filing,
Yeah.
locals that keep filing. If this
Yeah,
is
that's,
filed, does it go to the federal
Yes.
court?
yeah, and they pay their, you know, they pay their health care. We don't have any of those expenses like that we have with some of the local folks, but.
So our judges would not have to deal with federal prisoners.
And we've got a good working relationship with them. If we get an inmate that's a problem, we tell them it's a problem and they send them back. And so we don't have that issue with the federal people. If we could fill the jail with those, it'd be a lot easier job for us. All the problems come from our local inmates, where, you know, these lawsuits that,
Right.
this one, you know, that's a local guy. And so, yeah.
Okay, the sheriff is asking for a motion to approve the work release program.
I'll make a motion to approve the work release program.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for that. I would just a little add. I was talking to Carmen before she left. There's been 8 overdose deaths so far this year in the county. So we're well on a track to be higher than we were last year, because you know, those numbers aren't as hard to find, or harder to find than what you think, and she's doing a good job looking those up. And then the one thing, and like I said, don't need an answer today. I know you want to think about it, and I don't want to blindside you, but my mother-in-law is, her cousin is Rick Diltz, who we know passed away here last week. And she's looking to put a memorial bench. And her idea was to put, you know, he played taps at the memorial service for 30 or 40 years. And she thought that if she could have a memorial bench put somewhere on the courthouse, that was her question. If that's a problem or it can't be done. The other site she thought of was the cabin by the Historical Society. He helped build that. So that's the request that I was going to ask you. And like I said, don't need an answer today. And that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Laura, you want to speak to the ARPA fund?
Okay, so as you know, we received American Rescue Plan Act funds. Last May, we received $1,199,712.50. We are looking to receive that again in May, although I have not heard anything along those lines yet. But it's a total of $2,399,425. There has been several guidelines coming from the U.S. Treasury, and those guidelines have been revised from time to time in the past year. But the latest final guideline says that if any county can receive as lost revenue or revenue replacement up to $10 million. And since our total is under that amount, that you approve that whole amount for the lost revenue. Now, when you approve this, this money stays in its own fund, and it is still restricted by the guidelines from the U.S. Treasury. So you cannot spend it as you want just because you've received it as lost revenue. And the same guidelines go as far as appropriating it, and the actual use of it is still up to the commissioners. So I will need an approval to actually receive this in as lost revenue funds, or to report it, I should say.
You mentioned 4% on that one.
Well, if you, prior to this $10 million as lost revenue, there was a calculation formula, and that calculation said that you were allowed to have a 4% growth in your revenue. And if you did not meet that growth, then you could receive this money in as lost revenue. But the U.S. Treasury came back with guidelines that kind of eliminated that calculation for us. Other counties will have to still use that calculation if they've received more than $10 million. And there are counties who have. Unfortunately, it's not us. I also want to mention to the commissioners that I follow the National Association of Counties, the Indiana Association of Counties, the State Board of Accounts. These are all free resources. I shouldn't say free resources. They are all resources at no cost to the county, and they're available to everyone. So I just want to make that note that, if you wanted to check in, they're very good about updating me and the other county auditors on the rules and regulations.
And I know you normally send those updates out to us, and we appreciate that. Okay, entertain a motion to place these funds, as Laura has explained, ARPA funds into their own account as we move forward. I would make that motion.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
Now, this is just allocating those. This is not dictating what needs to be done, like how they're invested. Is that correct? So this is just an allocation.
Right.
Okay, understand.
And there is reporting that needs to be done, so I think the April report had to be done, so we had to show where this money was going, so.
What we received it as, yes.
Okay.
Either you have to have a spending plan in place, or you have to receive it in as lost revenue.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
And we do not have a plan in
We
place.
do not have a
Yeah.
plan in place.
Okay.
So receiving it in as lost revenue is the best course at this point in time. You still have to make a spending plan at some point.
Okay.
We are one of those counties that falls within the category, a low category, that we only report annually. So our first report is April 30th.
Okay.
Our next report will not be due until April 30th, 2023.
Okay.
We should have double the money by then.
You should have double the money by then, and you probably will be expected to know what your expenditures are going to be.
Okay. Get this figured out.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Connie or Jason, kind of a late addition, so we'd like to limit your time to 5 minutes.
So did you say it was a late edition or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I'm Jason Kuchmay, and I represent Connie Ehrlich and a number of other local property owners. And I've been asked to discuss again the county's ongoing efforts to amend the UDO as relates to the commercial solar projects. I previously asked the commissioners, who was behind those changes, pointed out some of the procedural missteps behind those changes that are going to result in any legal challenge of any enactment. Making through those changes, rushing through the process to do so is not doing the county any favors. And again, I don't like to make threats, but there's going to be a lawsuit challenging the adoption if those changes are enacted. There's already grounds to do so, and it's just simply too important of an issue for my clients and frankly for the county. There's a couple of points I want to address this morning. I heard Commissioner Mellon, your statement previously that you were behind the proposed changes. I'm also told that Mammoth Solar is behind the changes and perhaps even drafted the proposed changes. If so, I mean, that's not right. When I look at the changes, the proposed changes, it does make sense. I mean, those changes confirm that the drafter wants no accountability for the solar companies and to avoid any standards for the commercial solar developments. That drafter wants to literally open the door for solar companies to do the bare minimum so they can make their money without any repercussions and with no regard for the county or its citizens. And that's what these proposed changes are going to do. And Commissioner Mellon, if you are the one behind the changes, why? One of your primary stated reasons was that there's been a lot of litigation expense incurred with the approvals of the solar project under the existing ordinance. But again, the UDO, the terms of the UDO had nothing to do with any of those lawsuits. And these proposed changes are not going to have any impact on the proposed litigation expenses. The standards that are frankly being removed, they serve to only protect the residents in the counties. Your statement, Commissioner Mellon, also responded to my comment about the lack of transparency, stating that you've remained silent during this process due to the pending litigation. But I just want to clarify that that's not what I meant, at least not in large part. Important part of this is that the proposed changes, if they're enacted, those changes are going to remove the transparency from the approval of commercial solar projects. They're going to remove the BZA from the process, the ability to impose conditions, eliminate public hearings, eliminate the right of the public to hear the details, to raise questions, and to be heard as to their concerns. Instead, if a commercial solar is a permitted use, the planning staff, they're going to simply rubber stamp these projects, and somebody could literally just wake up one day, find a developer pushing dirt to start a project they didn't even know was applied for. Transparency in the process of changing the ordinance is important as well. Delaware County, they had an ordinance allowing commercial solar as a permitted use. There was a huge community uproar there to make it a special exception, and the county agreed to do that. They even issued a moratorium prohibiting the filing of solar applications while they considered those changes. They formed a committee to discuss those changes. That committee consisted of solar representatives, governmental officials, opposition in the community. It allowed for interested parties to sit around the table, let everyone chime in. It was a collaborative process to make sure it gets done right and to find a solution that really works for all parties. Instead here we got, the county just seems to be fighting the citizens at every turn. Documents aren't being made available. We've got improper notices, special meetings being scheduled at 8:30 on a Friday morning. The list goes on. And again, it should be a collaborative process. It should be done above the board. It shouldn't be an us versus them scenario. The whole behind the scenes secretive process for approval is just another large part of what I'm referring to when I talk about transparency. This extreme rush to make these unnecessary and these harmful changes underscores many of the concerns I've noted. There is a significant and reasoned majority who do not want to see these changes. And it's not only property owners, but it's Pulaski County representatives themselves. The Plan Commission unanimously rejected the attempt to change commercial solar to a permitted use. Again, it wasn't one or two members, but it was the entire Plan Commission, with the exception of one individual who abstained. The Plan Commission, they agreed with the other requested changes, but recognized the significant importance of keeping it as a special exception. The importance of that layer of protection that it provides for the county. The ability to place the appropriate conditions on approval, the ability to require and review the details of the project, to insist upon standards, for crying out loud, the ability to hear the other side of the story before rendering a decision. So I cannot stress enough, the problems that will occur or that will result if this is made a permitted use, and especially when you couple making it a permitted use with the watering down or eliminating of any development standards. If it is a permitted use, the planning staff has to approve. My time? I'm sorry, is that my time or can I wrap up?
It's fine.
I'm sorry?
It's 5 minutes.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other business?
Everybody else is allotted 10 minutes on your agenda.
We have the approval of the claims.
Special
Okay, I've looked at the claims and make a motion to approve as presented with claims.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion on claims? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have a veterans officer to appoint. His name is William Walker. He lives in the county. He's a U.S. Navy for 10 years, 2 terms in Vietnam. So with that, we need a motion to approve Mr. Walker.
Yeah, I would make a motion to appoint or approve Mr. Walker.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any other business brought forth?
No, no other business.
Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Meeting is adjourned.